I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 20th meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 4 is an open sealed bid for economic development vehicle. Seth?
Received 5 bids. This one's from J&N Auto for 2018 Hyundai Elantra for $13,500.
Who was that from?
JN Auto.
JN Auto.
This one's also from JN Auto. It's for a 2019 Nissan Sentra for $13,700. This one says the mileage is 33,000. I didn't see mileage on this other one. Oh, 32,004. This is from Krantz Motor Company for a 2019 Hyundai Elantra. Miles 25,889 and a bid price of $14,995. It looks like there's a second and a third bid on here for the same price for each. One's a 19 Kia Optima with 28,000 miles and a 2017 Chevrolet Malibu with 52,500 miles. This one's from the Auto Farm. There's several bids here. There's 4 of them. Do you want me to read all the particulars or?
Oh. Yeah, go through them just a little bit, brief.
From 2019 Hyundai Sonata, 17,000 miles for $16,700. 2019 Nissan Sentra, 14,000 miles for $14,727. 2019 Elantra, 18,000 miles for $14,500. And a 2020 Toyota Corolla, 26,000 miles for $15,500. This last one is from Blue Diamond GM. 2017 Volkswagen Jetta, 19,800 miles for $13,997. A 2019 Ford Fusion Hybrid Titanium, 27,700 miles for $19,922.
That's all of them.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Okay. What do you propose?
I would propose that we acknowledge the bids with, I believe it was JN Auto being the low bid, but allow this to be turned over to Rita and myself for review and maybe to go look at each vehicle and decide on which vehicle to purchase.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll second that motion.
Is that a motion?
That'll be my motion.
Okay. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll have Casey and to go check them out and make a recommendation. Item number 5 is a public hearing for input regarding the mental health and substance use disorder treatment needs in Carbon County. So Karen, you're here, Karen Dolan with Four Corners. Karen's the executive director of our mental health department here, so thank you for coming.
Thank you. So I'm Karen Dolan. This is Kara Cunningham. She's over our Carbon County Services. And Melissa Huntington is our clinical director. And John Faber is our Carbon County Assistant Director. So state law and Medicaid require us to have a public hearing every year to get feedback from the community about mental health and substance abuse services. And we use that in our planning, so our grant writing. So we'll open it up to public comment.
So this needs to be a public hearing, basically, isn't it? Or is it just open for comments? This needs to be a public hearing, doesn't it?
Yep,
So we need to go into public hearing.
Okay,
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion then that we go to a public hearing on behalf of the mental health and substance use disorder treatment needs for Carbon County.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we're in public hearing. So we'll invite anyone that's here to step forward and speak in behalf of Four Corners and the efforts that they put forth in our community. If you come forward, please state your name so we can hear that on the recording. And
Okay, my name is Jose Garuli. We help out with the disease prevention program with the health department, and we aren't affiliated with the health department, but we kind of have an issue with how they send or how they do the funding for Medicaid with sending people to rehab. When they send people, well, once you get into the system here at Four Corners, you're stuck in the system at Four Corners. You cannot make your own choice on where you want to go or anything like that unless it goes through Four Corners if you're dealing with Medicaid. And that's a problem because when people are looking for help, when they actually make that choice that they want to go to a rehab, that's the best time to catch them and get them into that rehab instead of forcing them when they get on probation or get into the legal system. When you're forced rehab, it's never as good as when somebody chooses to go to a rehab. But we're coming across a block on getting people to that rehab because it's got to go through Four Corners, and then the people can't get to their rehab that they choose, and it's not their choice anymore, it's Four Corners' choice. So that's what our issue is, and I don't really know what else to say. Yeah.
thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose.
I'm Pam Garuli. Like my husband said, we do help with the disease prevention program. Our problem is we have people coming to us when they want to go to rehab, and last one that we had, they said we tried to get them into Matter, but because Four Corners didn't have a contract with them, they couldn't go. Well, because he could take his dog to Matter. That's why he wanted to go there. And again, it was his choice, and it's his path to recovery, not Four Corners. And it should stay at that. It's my path or your path or anybody else in the community if they want to choose that. And that's where there's a problem. And that's what we're trying to get over. We want to be able to send somebody to rehab or wherever they need to go then, not 6 months later, not a year later, after they go through everything else that Four Corners says. And that's what's happening. So with this thing that Four Corners has got. So.
Thank you, Pam.
My name is Holly Hunter. I have mental illness. I do go through Four Corners, and I didn't know till after I had lived here for about 5 years that they have the Friendship House, that I could go there and try and get leveled out and get my meds adjusted in a safe place here close, until after I'd been to the hospital about 6 different times. We're not aware of what they have for programming, and they have some really good programs. But then again, like Pam and Jose have said, my nephew was one of the people that was told by them, you can't go to the program you want because they're not associated or whatever, and he couldn't go to the one he wanted. So my nephew chose not to go to rehab. Now my nephew's on drug court because he couldn't get in where he wanted to go. He felt lost. He felt like he was being told no at every corner he went to. And it's a thing with trying to be proactive with my mental health. I know when I'm not okay, and I know when I need to go check in. And I can't always get to my counselor and say, hey, I need to check in. Can you please help me get into one? And a lot of people don't know that they can go right here to our local hospital, to the ER, and the ER can help them get into one. It's just a matter of making people, I think, aware of where we can go and what we can do and what programs are out there. Four Corners has good programs, but they also will stop people from being able to do what they want because it's like feeling like you're controlled and having no choice in what your treatment is. And something's got to be done to bridge the gap there.
Thank you, Holly.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good.
My name is Macy Muncie, and I have been a client of Four Corners for a little over 3 years now. I'm also a participant in the felony drug court program here in Carbon County. I've done every treatment class Four Corners has to offer from beginning to end. And you know, in the very beginning, it worked. A lot of them do work, but I've redone it over and over and over again, you know, and I didn't start to see that it wasn't working for me until 3-4 times doing the same class over and over again, and I had to find something that worked. And it wasn't until I came to God, you know. God's changed my life, and I have to give all glory to God. I can't give it to anybody at Four Corners, you know, because God's set that path right in front of me, and He's the one who led me through those doors. Four Corners means well. I've been a part of that family for a very long time, and that's where I started, you know. But there's a lot of things that needs to be worked on, definitely. A lot of it's helped me. A lot of it's confused me. From experience, I can say it's not for everybody. It's really, really not. Also, being a part of the drug court program, it's definitely helped me. 100% it's helped me. It's built me into a person who I'm supposed to be, and I've struggled with it. I've been set up for termination before, and it's something I had to fight to get back my life, you know. And like I said before, God gave me that back. After I was set up for termination the first time, I was ready. I was ready to go to prison. I was ready to give up. God had other plans for me. He answered my prayers. He set another thing in motion for me. I was able to go to a sober living home here in Carbon County, and it's been amazing. It's changed my life completely. Some of the programs that has involved in it would be Lost and Found Ministries, and that's located in Helper. It's a great group. It is faith-based, and it's been one of my biggest supports. Everybody in that program. One of my major concerns, so when I complete drug court, it's almost like you're kicked out, you know, all that support goes down the drain. That's like kicking a 12-year-old out on the street and saying, here, fend for yourself. You've succeeded for 2-3 years, some people longer, you know, and when you're done, and you're just let go, you know, where are you expected to go from there? A lot of people are gonna go right back to where they came from, you know, and that's back to the drug scene. We need to put something in place. I feel like it would be beneficial to everybody, not just myself. Sort of a big brother program. When you start coming to the end of the drug court program, there should be something put in place to help you build the supports, to help you find something else out there so you're not kicked out, so you're not just dropped on your head. Fend for yourself, you know. Yes, I understand that we all get ourselves into this position, absolutely. But the whole meaning of that program is to help you succeed. I don't know the numbers of success in the program. I don't know a percentage, but from seeing it, from being in it the last 3 years, I can say it's not very high. And I feel like there needs to be something done about that. I've seen a great number of people get out of the drug court program successfully, and they go back to the same life that caused them to be in the program in the first place. And I don't want to be one of those people. I've built up a support system and a foundation to where that won't happen to me, but what about the other people? What about everybody else that's on drug court? And a lot of them are also part of Four Corners, you know. That's where we are led. You're released from jail, you report to Four Corners, your trackers, and to probation. We need to open up some more doors for the people struggling here. I've been born and raised here my entire life. My entire family's here, you know. And at a young age, I grew up in a broken home. Drugs and alcohol were a big part of that. I didn't know any other way. It's our job as a community to come together and show people that there is another way. For me, it's God. That might not be for everybody, but we need to explore some options. We have to, or we're gonna fail. You know, we need to stand together and fight for our community, fight for our recovery. If not, we're gonna fall. You know, united we stand, divided we fall. And we don't wanna fail. So, thank you, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mason.
Hi, my name is Crystal Noyes. I'm also in felony drug court, but I think that any programs here in Carbon County, we can definitely find things to say aren't working and criticize them. But I'm here to say that without Four Corners and without drug court, like, I would either be in prison or I would be dead. Like, and that's the honest truth. Like, if it weren't for Four Corners, I would not be here today. Without their programs and their help, that's just what the outcome would be. And that's what the outcome for a lot of people in this town is gonna be. And so while a lot of people can criticize it, like, Four Corners is what we have and what we have to work with. And I think they're great. Like, their friendship center, everything that they offer, their programs, their classes, if you want them to work, they will work and they can work. And so I think we need to do whatever is possible to help further the programming that's going on there and help the people in this town that really want it and need it. So I think it can be a success story. We just need to help it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thanks, Crystal.
Anybody else would like to come forward and speak?
Anybody else? I just want to say thank you for the input. We really are grateful to hear your feedback. My door's always open. You're welcome to come and talk to me. It's not perfect. It is a system that we have. We're always trying to make improvements. And I've heard your feedback and your input, and thank you. So I also have a signature page.
Okay.
Is there a possibility of, do you have some statistics?
Can you close the public hearing first, maybe?
Okay.
If we need to do that. So if there are no other comments, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I was just wondering if you have some statistics on how many people throughout a year go through drug court, what the success rate is, what you're seeing.
Yeah, so, and Melissa.
And you don't have to have it today, but
Yeah, I would like to make a comment. So the drug court program was a prison diversion program. So it's basically, our prison system was growing and growing with nonviolent drug offenders. And so it was a way to lock up fewer people, help them live in the community, and give them enough support that they can maybe have a different lifestyle and manage their substance use disorder. And so the plan originally was to imprison fewer people. And I think, so substance use disorder is a chronic relapsing disease, just like diabetes, just like heart disease. And so it depends on what you measure success. I think years ago we used to say abstinence. You have to be completely abstinent. We know now that there's many paths to recovery. And so it may mean fewer crimes. It may mean that somebody has a harm reduction approach, so they're taking a managed medicine rather than street opiates. And so with our success rate, I think during the drug court program, people do pretty well because there's a lot of structure. Sadly, it's a time-limited program. And so hopefully and I can get you data and statistics, but I think it is a chronic relapsing disease. So many people do better, and every time they go through treatment, it is helpful, and they have less life consequences or problems or legal problems. And so that's a success. And they're recovering their relationships with their families or their children. Maybe they're recovering a house, like they go from homelessness to being housed. So there's many successes. And I don't know, how did I do, Melissa?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think one thing we've learned through the years of working in this program is that the definition of success really does vary from individual to individual. And it's really hard. I think the courts have an idea of success and law enforcement has an idea of success, and everybody has their own individual definition, but success is really the person feeling like they're improving in a way that's meaningful to them in their life. And for some people that happens at different time frames. We can't expect a year-long program to be the end all for everybody. What we can expect is to offer a supportive environment for them. People who genuinely care, when they stumble, they can come back to us and there's no judgment, and that they know that there's a safe place to come and that they can keep getting up and going over and over again. And that's what we strive to do.
thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I might just add that I have assignments with Four Corners on the board of directors for Four Corners, and Carbon County, each county has the responsibility mandated by the state of Utah to care for the physical health and also the mental health and safety of the citizens of our county. And so the county, rather than try to do this on our own, we contract with Four Corners to take care of those services. And you know, they deal with some very, very difficult, challenging situations, and attempting to try to help the folks who have some illnesses that are very legitimate. And it's a very hard thing to fix. And I think for sometimes families who struggle with some mental illness would hope they could send folks over to Four Corners and get them fixed. And that's just not what happens. So you become a critical resource for everyone in Carbon, Emery, Grand, and San Juan counties that rely on the services Four Corners to help, and I'm impressed by the way they use outcome-based efforts that have been studied, and they're always refining how they work with individuals. So I just take my hat off to you, and we appreciate those of you who have concerns, because those are important in helping not only us but also the staff at Four Corners to potentially adjust how they work through this. And we still, there's no question in our state and probably the nation, we have holes that if we had enough money we could fill those holes. And that's where the big challenge is. So we take a limited amount of resources to try to help, and it's like everything, I guess, we're always a little short on the ability to, for instance, buy a facility here in Carbon County where you could go for some long-term treatment, but the cost of those things are not within the reach of the county, and we can't get the help from the state. So but the state's helping adjust as well. They're trying to open up some new options this year that will help give you folks more options. So we appreciate your patience. Appreciate you being here tonight. This is a healthy discussion, and like any hard topic, there's always multiple angles and sides to it, and we all bring our own life experience to the setting, and it's a good thing for us to be able to talk openly about it. So thank you for your comments today, and I just want you to know how hard I see Four Corners staff work to try to help everybody. And I'm amazed at the patience they have, and probably have some of the most difficult jobs of anyone in our county, and underpaid and all of that. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for the Four Corners, your staff, Karen and your staff, for all that you do, and send our appreciation to all of your employees for what they do. So thank you. We will now move to item 6 on the agenda, Castle Country Livestock Show. Is there someone here? They are.
A bunch of them, huh?
So first off, we'd like to thank you guys for letting us be here, and we'd like to thank you.
Will you state your name for the record?
I'm Hayden Thane.
I'm Derry Thatcher. Deegan Westover. Riley Westover.
Aston Thane. Devlin Thatcher.
Jackson Thane.
Okay, so we'd like to thank you for letting us be here today, and we'd like to thank you for donating last year, and we were hoping that you could donate money to help us put it on again. And first off, I have a quote that especially my parents tell me is, people say that you act like you were raised in a barn, like it's a bad thing. I was raised in a barn, and that's where I learned the most important lessons in life. I watched life begin and end in a barn. I discovered hard work builds character and killed no one. I learned respect, love, and compassion. I realized sometimes optimism is the only way to keep going. I found sometimes you have to let go, even when it breaks your heart. I dreamed and learned to never give up on those dreams. I failed and kept trying until I succeeded. I gained confidence in myself and my abilities. I understand that you have to stand for what you believe, and the next time someone tells you that you act like you were raised in a barn, thank them, because I can't think of a better compliment. And so we're putting on another jackpot this year, and we need some more help to help put it on. And
The dates this year is going to be June 24th and 25th. We thought about doing it between Cobbin and Emily Counties Fair, but the only problem we have with that is kids in Cobbin and Emily only go to Fairland Stock Show, and we want it to be a practice before Fairland, So we want to have it before Farron because a lot of kids are going to sell animals at Farron. We don't think we're going to have a very good response if we do it after the Farron stock show.
This year we're going to have it at Farron because it was donated and it's already set up.
We would be doing this by, we would have, we would have volunteers, and all the money that we're gonna charge $10 per entry, and all that money would be going back into the kids.
This is my second year and we want to have a breakfast for the big show.
I am now old enough to show 4-H, so I thought it would be nice to have a practice run before the big Farron show.
I'm old enough to to be in the 4-H, and I think it would be nice to have a practice show before the big Farron show.
Okay, so we just want to take a moment. Last year we started because the Southeastern Utah Junior Livestock Show was canceled due to COVID, and so we went with another show called the Castle Country Junior Livestock Show, and we felt it was a huge success. It's a jackpot show, and that means that all of the entry money goes strictly back to the kids. It's nonprofit, nothing is in an account or anywhere. Last year we were introduced to 12 new kids between Carbon and Emery County that had never showed at a stock show before. We figured that we could put this show on for around $6,000 total. We've already been to the Emery County Commissioners and they've committed to $3,000 to help us. Our judges will cost around $700 to $1,000. The only prizes we will be giving will be buckles, and every one of these kids, with the exception of Derry, have on buckles that was won at that show last year at the Castle Country Show. In stock show world, that's the hugest thing you can get is a new belt buckle. We're gonna need 10 buckles per species, and we have 4 species that'll be shown. So we're looking at about $4,000 in belt buckles. We need to hire a cleanup crew that will cost about $500. And we also just want to make it clear that we're not associated with the Southeastern Utah Junior Livestock Show. We'll be a separate entity. And Commissioner Wilson just asked that we come and visit you guys since we've asked them for a donation, that we also in kind. And also for future, if we get enough participation, which we're hoping because it's split, there's a little more Emery County kids right now than Carbon kids, but we're looking at maybe next year to hosting it up here at the Carbon events grounds so that it would rotate year to year from Farron to Carbon. So we would just appreciate any donations that you guys would be willing to give these kids. Thank you.
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Cassie Thatcher.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any questions?
So I have one for you. Do you guys also participate in the Farron Livestock Show?
Yes, sir.
So you do that. So this is just
This is
an
like
extra one.
Yeah, this is like a warm-up show. We're gonna have it. We're gonna try to have it before Farron. It's for us and our animals, so we can try to get some extra practice in before the big Farron show for us and our animals.
So just a side note, if it's a jackpot show, there is no auction of the animal. And so that's the point of them. It's more just a fitting and showmanship and then a market class where they judge the animals, but there's no sell involved.
Any more questions?
Where did we fund this out of last year? Do you remember, Seth?
Yeah, it was out of miscellaneous contributions.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Were you really raised in a barn?
Well, I guess most of my life.
Close
yeah.
to a barn anyway?
Yeah. I probably spent more time in a barn than in my house.
That's good. What kind of animals do you guys have? Do you show?
Well, there's steers, lambs, pigs, and goats at the show. All 4 species.
You have a favorite?
I show all 4, so I don't
Nice.
have a favorite.
Very good.
One last thing I would say, yes, if you wanna do this show in Carbon County next year, let's talk, hit me up on that one as soon as we can, and we'll get that organized, dates and all of that, so,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Okay.
I think it's a great thing. I don't see a problem with matching Emery County's funds. Unless you guys have a different proposal.
I'm good with it.
I don't, so.
So I'll entertain the
Twisted
motion.
our arm pretty hard, so.
You can come and participate. Watch. Watch these cute kids show their goats and their steers.
I raised pigs.
We have some of those too.
We got a bunch of kids there.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we donate $3,000 to match Emery County's $3,000 for the jackpot.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seth, what do they need? Well, what do they need to get to you to get some money?
It would be good if we could get some kind of an invoice or something from 'em, but if we have to, we can create something internally.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're trying to get a nonprofit account set up.
We're either gonna run it through Emery County, business chambers, just run the money through there. Or either that, if that doesn't work, we're looking into that right now. If not, we're gonna just set up a nonprofit.
Could you just say your names in here too for the record, sorry?
I'm Jacob Thane. So as soon as we get that taken care of, we can come back to you with it and whatever else you need.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All
Yeah.
right.
It just makes it a little easier, so thank you.
Some paperwork trail would be
Yeah,
great.
we'll
Thank you.
definitely have some paperwork for you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item 7 on our agenda is the reveal of the Fairgrounds Fishing Pond name. Commissioner Martinez.
We'll get Mr. Chili up here to kind of tell us a little bit about this.
Come on, girls. So, hello, my name's Anthony Chili. I'm the CTE Electronic Media Arts teacher at Carbon High School. And we were tasked with getting some consensus and some ideas for naming the fishing pond at the fairgrounds from Commissioner Martinez. And our Sterling Scholar for Visual Arts, Amy Thatcher, she spearheaded the endeavor, and we had several hundred students that contributed and proposed different names, and then we, after that, compiled all those and had a vote. And Miss Maddie Criddle, her suggestion won out. Maddie, you want to tell them what it's called?
Ye Old Fishing Pond.
Yes. Ye Old Fishing Pond. Great name, yes. Yes. So we just want to thank you for the opportunity to participate and get our students involved in this level of a civic engagement. And we're hoping that Amy will be able to design us some kind of graphic or something for the fishing pond, and that you guys will be able to use. She's an incredibly gifted artist and designer. And do you want to say anything?
I am currently working on a design which I can submit to you, Mr. Martinez. So that will be ready, I think, in the next 2 weeks.
Perfect. And I don't know if you've been out and seen, or a lot of folks have been out there and seen, the sign that we have out there currently to point where the fishing pond is, it's kind of up with T-posts and a pallet. So it's not the fanciest, but we're working on improving some of the signage out there, and I'm really excited to see the logo that you're to come up with. Thank you for coming up with a name too. It's going to be a good thing out there. So
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
I've got a little something here too, if I could, for all three of you.
Can you state your name?
Can you, who's who? Amelia Thatcher or Amy Thatcher?
Madeline Criddle or Maddie Criddle.
We have a surprise for you.
Is it Amelia? Did I spell it right, I hope? And then Maddie.
Thank you.
Oh,
And then my fellow basketball player with.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Hey, Commissioner Martinez, can you come here a second so we get a picture with you? Can we do
Go
that?
ahead, yep, we'll wait.
Sorry.
Can you see my smile?
Did you get it, Denise? Yes, she is too. She's my daughter. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a new name for our fishing pond. Item 8 is consideration and possible approval of extension of taxes for Douglas O. Blackburn. Douglas, are you here?
Yes.
Why don't you come up, please?
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
The courthouse called me last week saying by the end of May my house would go up for taxes, which I realized I was behind on. I thought it was 7 years, but she told me no, it was 5 years. So I came down last Friday, I put $400 on it, then I wrote a little statement to her at the treasurer office, I guess it was downstairs, that my taxes would be in this month and I would come down and put $1,500 on it, then pay $100 every month on it until it was paid off. And she said I had to come here to a hearing to get an extension on it.
Okay. Any questions for
I don't have.
Mr. Blackburn?
I don't have any questions. I
So it'd be okay to do that?
I appreciate you coming in and having a plan to get caught back up. So.
Yes, because I don't want to lose my house.
So you gentlemen, as the commission, have to approve an actual deferral plan by motion. So,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just wanted to make sure you're not just gonna say,
No.
just keep making those payments.
No.
You actually have to formally approve the deferral of his tax payments at this point.
Okay. I'll make. Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the extension of the taxes for Douglas O. Blackburn.
Well, just a minute. The motion needs to state how much is being deferred and for how long. You need some specifics in how long, and you need to put the specifics of the plan into the motion itself.
We need the terms of.
Sure, yeah.
So it's, so what this is saying is, the extension will be,
So with
you're agreeing to pay it off by November of 2021, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, is that enough of a,
So there's not gonna be a monthly amount that's required? It's simply you're deferring the payment of all outstanding taxes, penalties, and interest through until November 30th of 2021, is that correct? And so all late,
so the plan is you're gonna pay 1,500, you already paid 400, you're gonna pay
Yes, sir.
1,500 when you get your taxes back.
Yes.
And then you're gonna pay $100
Now, I
a
might be able to
month.
pay the whole thing off, but I don't want to state that I will. But I
Okay.
will pay the 1,500 before the end of February of this year.
Okay, and then you'll pay 100 a month
Yes,
until
if
it's
they can
paid
take
off?
it out direct deposit out of my credit union here at the courthouse, and I pay $100 a month.
So that'll pay the whole amount off before November, so you,
okay. So those
15,
terms should just be in the motion then, that, he'll make a payment of, initial payment of, another payment of $1,500 and $100 a month, or will otherwise have it paid off by November 1st.
Okay.
All outstanding taxes, penalties, and interest by that date. That's what I'm hearing, unless I,
that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Is that,
That sounds good to me. Tony was making the motion.
So I just, given this new information, so you have paid the 400.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we'll approve the extension of the taxes for Douglas O. Blackburn with the payment terms understood to be, he will pay $1,500 when receiving his taxes in next month?
This month.
This month?
Yeah, they should be in less than 2 weeks.
Okay.
I should receive them.
And then that leaves a balance of $463. So then there'd be monthly payments of four
Yes.
monthly payments of $100.
Yes, sir.
And then one remaining payment of $63.86.
Yes.
Before, and this will all be paid for before November of 2021.
Yes, sir.
Is that good?
Yes, and just, Lori, when you type up the minutes, would you have it reflect, it's not an extension, but a deferral of the tax payment? That's the language under the statute, just so it's clear that we're tracking that, section 1347 statute that authorizes you to do this.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, appreciate
Be
it.
safe. Thank you.
Item 9 is consideration and possible approval of the Jones and DeMille engineering contract. So this is we have a contract that we had with them, have had for years, and this is an extension. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a master services agreement that we put together back in 2010, and this contract allows for testing services to be provided, all subject to the terms of that master agreement that governs all other ancillary agreements we would do with Jones and DeMille. So it refers to that and incorporates the terms of that into this little this little lab and testing contract with them.
Maybe a note, we do have this similar contract with Johansson and Tuttle Engineering that's also local. So we have the ability to use both in the services for our engineering department.
I'll make a motion to approve the master services agreement extension. Is it an extension? Or
Well, it's not a master
agree-
services agreement. It's just a materials
testing
contract.
contract with Jones and DeMille Engineering.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 10 is consideration and possible approval of a resolution number 2021-02 condemning the Biden executive order condemning coal. Maybe a little explanation on this. The new presidential administration has issued an executive order number 14,008, and the reference in that section is number 208, that condemns, well, doesn't condemn, it freezes federal coal, oil, and gas leases that are in hand now in the federal agencies. For example, we have 3 coal mines, I think, who have permits in with the federal government for expansion of their coal leases. All 3 of those are frozen now, and all future permits for oil and gas drilling that are on federal ground are frozen as well. So it'll put a bind on particularly the potential future of coal miners here if these mines are unable to expand and continue their mining operations in the way they have in the past. I don't think this is a real short-term effect, but it could be a detriment long-term. So the state of Utah, the governor's office, and also all of our state elected officials, the Utah officials in Washington have put together a letter sent to the Biden administration that says, the Biden administration arbitrary decision to suspend oil and gas leasing and permitting on federal lands is a serious mistake that will harm the same small Utah businesses that are already hurting from the pandemic. This action perpetuates the very discord between rural and urban Americans that the president spoke out against in his inauguration speech. Although it is routine for an incoming administration to pause high-level agency decisions while agency leaders get into place, such as a widespread suspension of routine permitting decisions normally made in the field, is unprecedented. The economic impacts of this decision will be felt nationwide and couldn't come at a worse time for Utah's rural communities, tribes, and small businesses. Our energy industry is among the hardest hit by the pandemic. Utahns previously employed in the energy sector have lost their jobs in historic numbers. This decision only exaggerates the problem. We encourage President Biden to reconsider this counterproductive step. We are eager to work with his administration to improve management of our public lands, but gratuitously punishing our rural economy is not helpful. So we, along with probably all rural counties in the state of Utah, are doing similar things in trying to send a message to Washington of the effect this will have on us. So we have before us this resolution, which Tristan and Christian prepared, and maybe Commissioner Martinez, would you read that, please?
Sure. Resolution 2021-02, Carbon County, Utah, resolution of condemnation of Executive Order 14008, Section 208 of January 27th, 2021, and approval and adoption of the Utah Congressional Delegation of the State of Utah officials' response letter to the suspension of energy leases on federal lands, February 3rd, 2021. A resolution in condemnation of Executive Order 14008, Section 208, and adoption of Congressional Delegation and State Officials' letter to President Biden. Whereas Carbon County's economic development and growth currently relies on fossil fuels industry, and whereas Executive Order 14008, Section 208, puts an indefinite pause on the issuing of new oil and gas leases on federal public lands, and whereas much of the available locations for the expansion of fossil fuels industry within Carbon County is on federal public land, and whereas the Board of Commissioners of Carbon County, Utah, have determined that Executive Orders 14008, Section 208 is harmful to the interest and economic health of Carbon County, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Carbon County, Utah as follows. 1, that the Carbon County Board of Commissioners condemns Executive Order 14008, Section 208 as harmful to the interests of the economic well-being of Carbon County. 2, that the Carbon County Board of Commissioners adopts all of the findings and recommendations contained in that certain January 22nd, 2021 letter to the Utah Congressional Delegation and other state officials to President Biden, and a copy of which is attached to the resolution as Exhibit A, and joins the congressional delegation in urging President Biden to reconsider suspension of energy leases on federal lands. Adopted, approved, and ordered by majority vote, a duly called meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Carbon County, Utah, this February 3rd, 2021.
Thank you. Any other discussion or comments?
I serve on the 7 County Infrastructure Board Coalition, and this is a heavy topic. They're also preparing a letter to go out as a joint body of 7 counties who are the main producers of mineral extraction in Utah, and we are also talking about and worried about this executive order and the impact that it will have on the Uinta Basin, the tribes, and also our area with Carbon, Emery, and San Pete and Sevier counties being coal-producing counties. It's a big worry. So this is this is something that several rural counties, and I'm in favor of this resolution.
Yeah, I am as well. It's, you know, that old saying about elections have consequences, and I think we're seeing that through these executive orders come through, and this one definitely affects us here. I'm in full support, and you know, we'd love to see, as we've said many times, we'd love to see more coal mines opening and more opportunities here for the folks, but it's, you know, something like this and what's happened with the new president, it's definitely not happening anytime soon, so.
I think it will also have an impact on the most vulnerable in our society if we stop being energy independent in our nation. Those that will suffer the most are those that are going to pay more at the gas pump, more for heating their homes, and for the electricity that we have to power our homes and even some of our vehicles. Something like this stands to hurt the most vulnerable populations first, as well as everyone else.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve. Is it resolution 2021-02 or 2020?
It should be 2021.
-02.
Correct.
Condemning the Biden executive order condemning coal, oil, and natural gas.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Item 11, consideration and possible approval of extension of taxes due for Echo Coke Wellington LLC. Steve, come on up.
My name is Steve Fawcett, and I represent Echo Coke Wellington LLC. And obviously, coal's been a four-letter word for a lot of time, years, and it sounds like it's getting a little bit worse. Our play there at over next to the Savage loadout facility, we have a piece of property. We've been trying to get a coke briquetting process going there. We've got the design and started some of the permitting efforts and those kinds of things. We've been waiting for some investors to kind of help us get our first plant built out there. That process has taken longer than we anticipated, and we haven't had a alternative income stream to cover the taxes for that property. We're trying to solve that solution, kind of an interim solution, until we can get some permanent project approvals on that, and we're in the process of working with the USDA for some loan guarantees and a couple of lenders that are in the business of being the bank that handles or manages those loan guarantees. But at this point, that's not a done deal yet. So I'm asking for a stay of execution, I guess you'd say, to consider a deferment of the taxes in kind of a reasonable repayment or payment manner, and offer that for some consideration. I don't know what the requirements might be from the previous discussion. I assume there's going to be some hopeful payment terms and a duration, but I don't know what the limits of that might be. I'm willing to entertain and consider any of that kind of agreement.
If I can speak just a little bit, I've been following this project since maybe not the beginning, but since I've been a commissioner, it really started to take root. The exciting thing about this is, one, it's an alternate use for coal for the refining of metals and different things, but the pitch that you guys created was successful in, if I remember, if I'm connecting the dots right, it was successful in the carbon fiber trials that they did.
That's correct.
And so if this project goes, it could potentially lead into a better use. And it was the most successful of the research that the University of Utah and the University of Kentucky did. and all of the work that they did to try and find a way to make carbon fiber out of coal, the pitch that was created from you guys was by far, and they used every bit that you had, but it was the best pitch that they had for creating the carbon fiber, so it could lead into other projects.
Exactly. It essentially, our technology is a refinery for coal. It can take coal's attributes and extract them. We can develop different products out of that coal with very minimal pollution, which has typically been associated with coal. When you burn it, it's more valuable to use in our manner rather than just to burn it for a power plant. And so that carbon fiber pitch is very promising. A typical pitch is $15 a pound. We can create it for $5 a pound. Now that really expands the application of carbon fiber into all kinds of other vehicles and other uses much more economically than is currently available. So it offers some future for the coal industry, and doesn't carry with it the baggage of environmental hazards that so many people are rightly concerned about.
So, based off our conversation earlier, I guess we need a plan and something from you that would, as a proposal of how to get back on your feet with the taxes.
Yeah, I'm just kind of off the top of my head thinking a couple of years, if that would be completely brought up to date within a couple of years, if that's not unreasonable. I think the amount is in the $60,000 range or something like that.
Yeah, 63,000. And you paid. We paid,
I think, 13 or 14,000 to date.
Yeah.
That was the 2020 amount that was paid.
Right. Christian, what flexibility do we have in?
So you have a lot of flexibility. The statute states that if an interested person applies for an adjustment or deferral of taxes levied against property located in the county legislative body may accept the sum less than the full amount due or defer the full amount due, where in the judgment of the county legislative body the best human interests and the interests of the state and the county are served. So you have quite a bit of flexibility in fashioning whatever kind of deferral schedule you'd like to do. You can extend that out over a period of years, and whatever you can make work, basically you have flexibility to do here.
So if I could, Steve, would it, Mr. Fawcett, would it be better to have an annual payment, quarterly payment? What kind of timetable works best for you?
No, I think an annual payment would give us a little bit of time to try and come up with something if we could do that. Maybe half by the end of the year and half by the end of the following year, I guess, plus whatever additional taxes accumulate. But I'm not looking for any reduction in the amount at all, just a deferral in the time.
Well, I think there's value in the potential of what you may be able to pull together out there, and so I think it's in the best interest of the county to try to work with you to try to make this thing happen. If it happens, then that will increase the value of the property and the taxes that you would pay once the thing is built and operating would be substantially more than what you pay today. And so I think from my view, I think it's probably wise to work with them and try to help you get this put together and not take all your cash today to pay the taxes, because your lending institutions are probably looking for some cash in hand to help you with it.
Right. what we have planned out there is a plant that would generate 50,000 tons per year of coke, which is the briquetted coke that we make. So we can make a metallurgical coke out of a thermal coal, which is kind of gold out of straw kind of metaphor. But in addition to that, we would extract the other byproducts, including the pitch. And that 50,000 tons of coke would require about 100,000 tons per year of coal to be mined out of the area. And our long-term plan is to go to like a 200,000 ton per year plant if we get this first one up and running. The small one, probably 8 to 15 direct higher paying jobs. And then there's obviously the indirect that kind of trickle out of that. So I appreciate your willingness to work with us on trying to put this all together.
Commissioners, as I'm looking at the statute, this statute was revised last year, and I see a couple provisions that are new that I don't recall being in there from before. The statute now requires that any amount deferred does need to be recorded as a lien on the property and shall bear interest at the rate of 6% or the federal funds rate as of the date of January 1st. The federal funds rate target established by the Federal Open Markets Committee. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing that's quite a bit lower than 6% right now. But we are, so if we do defer, any amounts we're deferring will have to accrue some interest, and then we will have to publish the adjustment in the newspaper. And those are both new requirements that were not previously required. So just wanted to get that out there, that's now part of this 59. And the statute, for everybody's reference, is 59-2-1347 of the Utah Code. So in the past, though, interest continued to accrue anyway at the statutory rate. So it's really not that much of a difference, but it may be a different interest rate now, and that publication provision is now required. So let's see, it says the county legislative body shall cause the adjustment or deferral to be posted in the county where the property involved is located. The publication shall contain the name of the applicant, the parcel, the value of the property for the current year, the sum of the taxes, interest and penalty due, and the adjusted amount paid or deferred. So it's quite a disclosure, but it's not a limitation. It's just something, an additional hoop to make it, to make it more public, I suppose. Just wanted to throw that out there, just so everybody, as we talk about it.
I don't have a problem with that.
And we're required to file a lien on the property?
Yes.
Okay.
But really it would just be a notice of, I think we just call it a notice of tax deferral lien, I suppose, because it's created just by this statute. And it would probably be just the same thing as what would be in the publication that we'd publish. And I need to look and see if it says it's to be posted, and that might mean we don't have to actually put it in the newspaper. We could maybe possibly just post it physically in the building. So I'll look into that and see what that exactly means.
And can you work with the clerk's office
Absolutely.
to put that together? And so
Sure.
I think what we probably need is, like we had with Mr. Blackburn, was it? Just a commitment from you on what you plan to do, and then we could approve that. So we talked about half this year, half next year. Normally the taxes are due in November, so that might be a reasonable time to have them due. The end of November, or not the end of November, but whatever the date is.
Yeah, it would be the end of November of 2022.
Okay, Ben.
so that they could pay the outstanding balance at the same time they pay the next year's amount.
Okay.
If you want to do that, if that's what we're,
Yeah,
I mean, if we're gonna do 2 years as opposed to 3 or whatever, but.
I'll take as much time as I can get.
That's up to them, whatever they're comfortable with.
And how does this work too, Christian, just moving forward? If we set up a plan and say something happens and payment is not made, does it automatically go to a tax sale at that point?
Well, it would be, no, it wouldn't, well, you
It would
won't,
be
you can only
upfront.
do a tax sale once a year at the end of May.
Right.
But my thought is, yes, if, the statute doesn't specify, but if the agreement were breached, we could then notice it up for a tax sale for the next occurring tax sale. Would be, I would assume we could do that if the payment wasn't made. It also wouldn't prohibit him from coming back in and saying, I couldn't quite get there, I need some more time. And at that point, you could weigh whatever equities are involved at that point. But yes, the presumption would be that if payments were not made, that's where we'd go, is towards tax sale for the very next year.
Okay. And does that need to be a part of the motion, or just?
That would happen by operation of law, so that would be automatic, that would just be presumed that that's the case if the agreement couldn't be lived up to.
If we have nothing else, I will make a motion that we defer the taxes due for Echo Coke Wellington LLC with payment terms of half being paid this November and the remaining other half being paid November of 2022.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
Is that half of what's currently owing? I don't mean to complicate it, but in 2 years there will be 2 more years owing, including interest and penalties.
So pay half of owed taxes plus current year.
So
which-
let me mention something. Under the statute, you only have the discretion to deal with monies that are already due. So you cannot make a deal regarding 2021's taxes, for example, or 2022's taxes. So you can make it's presumed that we have to go off the presumption that those are gonna be paid in full at the end of November. So that, whatever you agree to tonight can only apply to tax amounts that are already due.
So my motion with half this year, half next is
It-
appropriate.
Your motion is appropriate with the understanding that it's with respect to taxes currently due and outstanding.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some legislation they're trying to change so you can pay, rather than 2020's taxes, you could pay 4 or 5 years behind.
The latest one, the ones that are oldest.
I'm not sure that's gonna go through, but if, so I guess my point is that legally, there's still some pretty heavy obligation on your part.
I'm aware of that.
And if it doesn't work out, the county's gonna end up with your property, and we don't want it. So, we wanna try to help you make sure this works, so.
Well, I appreciate that.
So we've had a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
There you go. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Item 12 is East Carbon Recreation Association. Is a discussion of the acquisition of county-owned parcel 1C-347-0000. Donald McCarty.
Hi. My name's Don McCarty. I'm the administrator for the East Carbon Recreation Association. This is Brittany Medina. She's the executive director. We have a letter that we printed up and I submitted to Commissioner Martinez. I don't know if you have a copy of it. We brought some too.
We do. We
do.
have them.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're just interested in acquiring a piece of property that's more or less in the center of town. We've been closely monitoring, work with the city on the Brownsfield grant. We currently, we previously were housed in the Peterson Elementary School as the East Carbon Community Center. Through investigation utilizing the Brownsfield grant, it was essentially condemned. I learned last night from City Council that we have a short-term patch that we can do to it, but it's not a permanent solution. So our hope is that we can acquire this parcel from the county and in the future be able to build a centrally located multi-use building on the piece of property to replace the Peterson Elementary.
Okay, and is this part of East Carbon, the Recreation Association, or is this a separate?
We are a separate charity. We are a 501c3. We are registered in the state as a business, registered with the state as a charity. So.
Okay. One thing that we were trying to get was the value on that property, and we do have a new assessor, and he's going to get that information to us hopefully by Friday, so we'll at least have kind of a dollar amount of what that land's worth. It's my understanding that if it is a municipality, that we can work a deal or an arrangement out. So if it was East Carbon City, I think it would be pretty good. Can we do the same, Christian, with a 501(c)(3), or is it more
As far as,
working out? We'll have like an appraised value working underneath that appraised value with a city, or even giving it to a city.
let me think here. Yes, you can. You can do it differently if it's a 501c3. You don't have to get the appraised value automatically if you find there's a benefit to the citizens for doing it less than the appraised value.
Okay. And do you,
In other words, you have to find that constitutes consideration, that the benefit that the charity will provide to the citizens constitutes consideration sufficient for you to feel it's worth doing.
and do you have funds to build this building, or would there need to be additional funds raised at another time?
Additional funds raised. One of the things that we strive to do is we actually work in conjunction with the city. There is funding sources that are not available to municipalities that are available to us. The city has played with the idea of utilizing a structure that's adjacent to this property, and that would be the idea, is we would work with the city to construct this facility.
Okay. You guys have questions or?
Who owns the school that you were in? Is it the city?
It's the cities.
Okay, so it's one of the old schools that the school district probably gave to East Carbon?
Yes.
Is that correct? And there's any plans to try to mitigate the asbestos there so the building can continue to be used?
The mitigation of it is almost impossible. They've got a kind of just a ballpark figure of 50,000 to make it usable for the time being. But the issue with the building still remains for the reason the school district left it, and that's one of the wings is actually moving and it's separating from the rest of the building. So we don't use that wing, and we try to stay as far away from it as possible, but just to remodel that building is almost the same price as building a new one. So.
The walls you can see between the floor and the wall, you can look under and see into the next room through under the wall, so we stay away from that side.
I initially don't really have any issue with this. I would like to get the value first. And possibly we could do, and I don't want to say earmark, but we have no other people that are asking us about this land. Maybe we could just leave it as is until the funding is to a point where you guys are ready to build. If that's something that you would be interested in.
Yeah, we're
I mean,
willing.
Because there's really no gain right now to have that land, right?
Not necessarily.
So,
Yeah.
so if you don't mind, that would be my suggestion. Let us get a value of it. And we can have that moving forward. And then when you guys get your funding and enough money put together, then let's revisit this and see if we can go from there.
I also think that, that there's value in having the city either be owner or part owner in the property, so that if the recreation association ever goes away, and it happens, and we've dealt with that in some other situations, that the city takes management of the property and can control it, and it doesn't fall into the hands of trying to divide up whatever's left, and become a mess for the city that they would have to clean up. So I agree with this plan of let's leave it in the county's hands until the money's in place, the plans are in place, and you're ready to build, and then we can work out the terms of the agreement so that control can happen either jointly or with the city, so that you guys can use the facility or whatever that is, but that there's a long-term management plan.
And that's actually written into our articles of incorporation and bylaws, that if we were to cease to exist, all of our assets will either go to the municipality or Carbon Recreation.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
You know, that helps. We certainly don't want a parcel you folks are part of today, and in 50 years you're gone, and then this parcel is their individuals are trying to figure out what they're going to do with it, and we have a situation today just like that. So I think you're hearing from us the property, we're more than willing to help you have it, but probably we need a good plan to how you're going to fund it, and partnership with the city so that it's clear on our end. And
Okay.
It can be part of the value of the project up front once you figure out where you can get some money from. This helps as an asset in match for grant money. So we're totally open to that. So come back when you're sure what you can do there, because we don't want it back in a while.
And I just want to give you guys an attaboy for the work that you do. I've been able to come up. I came up one time for a flag football awards ceremony and help hand out awards and different things. And I've talked with the mayor about the different activities you guys run. You guys do a fantastic job, especially in that side of the county that's probably has less services because of the distance away from Carbon Rec. So you guys do an amazing job, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you
guys.
coming in.
Thank you.
Item 13 is just, I received a report from the last tax advisory board meeting and thought it might be helpful for our community to know where some of those tax dollars collected from restaurants and from hotels that is captured in our community. And there's a board that helps figure out where they're going to spend the money that comes in. And Commissioner Hopes wondered if you could just kind of give a brief summary of where they're at so far and what they've been spending their money for.
Yeah, our tourism board, like past years, but increasingly this year, last year and this year, are very active and driving projects forward and helping to improve tourism or visitor experience when they're here. Last year we were able to put signs in 9 Mile Canyon to help people when they enter into the canyon to find the sites, because some of them aren't easily recognizable. If you don't know the canyon, you might just drive by most of the sites. Last year we also did a project to put wayfinding signs in Helper, and then Price City outside of us did another wayfinding project, and that's all in hopes to help visitors be able to find their way and enjoy their stay here a little better without getting frustrated because they don't know where they're at or what they're doing. This year, like you said, we have a couple events that we're sponsoring. The Black Diamond Golf Tournament it has received some funding. That's a big event for our community, brings in a lot of people from outside the area. And they use the money for outside advertising to get those golfers to sign up for the tournament. And the good thing about that tournament is the golfers come multiple weekends to learn the course and to get familiar with how the course plays. And so we receive a little extra, not just the weekend that they're here for the 3 days they're here, but for a couple weekends before we receive a lot of tourism tax dollar money from those golfers as well. Another, and this is a new event, is from Wasatch Events. They want to host a half marathon here in Carbon County. It'll start up beyond Pinnacle Peak. Is it Horse Bench? Or Porphyry Bench? It's up beyond Porphyry Bench. It's past C1. Wiregrass Bench, I think it is. They're going to start up on Wiregrass Bench, and then they'll run all the way down to the fairgrounds and end up at the fairgrounds as an ending point. They've already started marketing that. I saw it on social media recently, so I know that they're advertising, and they think that it'll be a pretty big draw. With their other events, they have a pretty good following, and so they think they'll be able to draw a number of people here. So there was some funding given to the half marathon for advertising and marketing, and I believe also a little bit of use of the fairgrounds event center. So those are positive events that are happening. And then Helper City came in. They have some upgrades to their stage, the Rio Theater. They want to do some better sound equipment in there, and also put some sound dampening, some of the boards on the walls so that they can actually hold concerts. They have a concert promoter that would like to use the facility and bring in big names to hold concerts in there, but he needs a better sound system, and so there was a project that was funded for that. And then the last one is one to hopefully capture the minds of more individuals as they come through the community. We are the byway, or the gas station on the way to Moab and Lake Powell and Canyonlands and different state parks and national parks. And so there was an idea that was brought up of creating a kiosk that would highlight and identify the attractions that we have locally, some of the hikes, the mountain bike trails, the ATV trails. And so this kiosk would be placed at strategic places, specifically gas stations, places where visitors would normally stop on their way through to go into somewhere else, to hopefully capture and inform them of what there is to do. 9 Mile Canyon, the Swell, and maybe bring them back on. We're not going to stop them on that trip, but hopefully capture their attention and bring them back for other trips to visit some of our regional destinations in the Swell and 9 Mile, and I think they're doing a great job. I think these things will help. We did see, even with the pandemic, we did see an uptick in tourism or visitorship within the community. It wasn't 100% positive because our restaurants weren't at full capacity, and our hotel stays weren't at full capacity, but they didn't drop significantly. Matter of fact, we came close to reaching our budget in tourism because we did have people that normally would travel other places like Moab, but Moab was closed down. They started looking at other places in Utah, and we were one of those places with the Swell and 9 Mile Canyon, and so we're starting to get on the radar of a lot of people, and this is, it's just, it's an additive thing that will improve the quality of life for those that live here and help visitors when they visit. Is that good enough explanation?
Perfect, thank you.
It was a mouthful.
Sorry, Lori, minutes are long. But I think that's very helpful for our community. It's difficult to get the word out about positive things, and so there are very good things happening, and we really appreciate Commissioner Hopes and the Tourism Board. The only other thing we chatted a little bit about the money that was received here in Carbon County by both Carbon County, Price City, Helper City, Wellington City, and East Carbon to assist with COVID issues. Last year, there's been some questions raised statewide about the use of those funds, and we felt that it would be important for us to make those public. And so, Seth, why don't you tell us what you were thinking there?
Well, just to be clear, everything that the county does in the finance manner is made public to the state auditor's office and public notice websites, where all of our transactions, whether expenditures or revenue, are uploaded quarterly to the state auditor's office. So they were already public, but just in an effort, I think, to help people view them with more ease, they've been posted to, there was a request to post them to our website. I believe that was done today by the IT department. But they'll have all the expenditures of our CARES Act money there, and brief explanation. But if anyone else has questions or concerns, they're welcome to call our office or stop by or request additional information if there's anything we can provide to them.
Thank you. Yeah, that was we had a fairly large amount of money. It was $2.4 million that Carbon County had. The cities each had some money. A majority of that money was passed out to businesses that had applied for some relief to either the cities or the county, and we were able to give grant money to every business that applied, with the exception of one that turned an application in after all the money was gone. So we spend a fair amount of time trying to balance that and pass it out evenly. So those that have interest, that would be good. And we don't know this year if we'll receive any funds similar to that, but if we do, we'll certainly make that available to the public again, private business.
And that committee, it was not just us three. There were the mayors of other towns, other cities here, a couple of individuals as well from Helper. So it was well thought out, and there were no hasty moves, and it was divvied up as best we could with as many as we could, and it definitely helped out.
Thank you.
It might be worth mentioning just that there was a very strict time frame on that money. It needed to be spent or allocated by the end of November, else it was to be sent back to the state. So there was a pretty strict and pretty quick time frame on that. So there was a lot of thought went into it, but there was also needed to move fast on it. So
yeah, and it was critical that the money got out to people, the businesses who needed it too. So I think everybody worked really hard at that, and I'm happy with how it turned out, and we were really careful not to misuse that money. There's been some accusations in other areas of the state that have raised some concerns, but we invite you to look, because we don't think we messed up. Anything else tonight?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Thanks. We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.